Throw then to Torquay. The seconds and the minutes rapidly going against them. Stubbs through, and is it in? It's there! My goodness, they've got level, and the crowd is swarming on the field, and I've never seen excitement of this sort at a football match before. The whole arena is going absolutely crazy.
John, thanks ever so much for coming in this afternoon. We're in the Hospitality and Commercial Office at Torquay United, new venue for you and us, I think. Yeah. We just wanted to have a chat this afternoon to ask you about your memories of supporting the Gulls for many, many years, really. How long is it, would you say?
Well, it's coming up, 70 years now. It was in the October of 55. I first came to a floodlit friendly with the old, we called them candles really, the old floodlights, with my uncle. He was really a rugby fan. He took me to the Ticks, and I really didn't get into that. But under the lights and everything, they were playing Birmingham City, who were newly promoted to the First Division, a very good side, with a lot of good players, including Gordon Astle, who later, in his latter years, played for Torquay United. It finished, I think, I don't remember much about the game, but it finished 3-2 to Birmingham. And of course, later in the season, we played them in the third round of the Cup here, and they absolutely marmalised us, 7-1, I think. Yeah.
And to the final that year, didn't they?
They got to the final. They played every game away from home, I believe. Every single game. And they were big favourites to beat Man City. But Man City with Don Revie and players like that, they beat them 3-1, I think, in the final.
Of course, we might get on to Robin Stubbs later on, but he came from Birmingham.
That's right, yeah. It was in the days when the chairman, it was Arthur Milner. Arthur Milner was the chairman, that's right, yeah. He was on Birmingham City's board, and then he moved down to Torquay and became Torquay United's chairman. We used to get a lot of decent players from Birmingham in those days. People like Jeff Cox, Colin Bettany, one of my favourite hard men of Torquay United, and obviously Robin, and there were one or two others as well. I think Billy Atkinson came there. He only had one season, but he played against the Spurs in the Cup. George Allen, yeah, another good left back. Yeah, really good player. Yes.
So I guess Torquay's ground has changed a lot since then. Well, can you remember where you stood for the Birmingham game?
I think I've got a feeling I might have been under the old grandstand, because there was a enclosure area there. It could have been Popside. I don't think so, though. I seem to remember a stand like behind me, but I could be wrong. But I said to I want to get behind the goal, so I stood behind the goal in the old cow shed.
Then for younger viewers, that would be the family stand then now.
Yeah, that's right. That sort of half of it blew away in the gale, and then I think later on in the 60s, they built the mini stand there, didn't they? And I was in the mini stand for a while. But then as I got a bit older, I moved over to the pop side and stood there for many, many moons.
Moving on a little bit into the 60s, Frank O'Farrell comes to town. Yeah, that's some great years with him. Yeah, what can you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, he moved in, he'd won the Southern League with Weymouth, and I think Tony Boyce, who'd taken over as chairman, said a kind of sad goodbye to Eric Webber, who'd been manager here for the best part of 12, 13 years, I think. And but he could see that we weren't really getting anywhere, and brought Frank in with his new ideas, and that he was kind of a defensive sort of manager, get a strong defence. Whereas Eric was gung-ho, really, have a go at them, score 5, and if they score 4, you score 5, something, that attitude. But, yeah, I mean, Frank was an excellent manager, and obviously he went on to prove it. Got us promotion in the first year, 65, 66. Almost got us up 2 or 3 years later. And of course, his name was being bandied around, and he went on to Leicester and then Man U, who were a sort of a fading force when he took over.
In the shadow of Matt Busby, that's what I think. Yeah,
he wasn't too keen on that Busby. He got on with all the others, even George Best, who had a bit of a reputation. But I think when Frank has spoken up here a few times about how Matt Busby treated him, and not so good, and I think it was very difficult. I think it's the same with that Man U now, because Ferguson's in the background, whether he has any input. But they've not been the same, have they, since Fergie went?
I think Matt found it hard to let go by the sound of it, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah.
Because he was around, people still thought he was the boss. So.
I think so. Yeah, I think he was fine with Bobby Charlton and people like that, and Frank, as far as I know, and they're all reaching the end of their days. Yeah. Apart from George Best, well, he was doing what he wanted to.
Tell us a bit more about sort of football in the 60s. I would imagine it was a bit crowded on the pub side at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the average was about 7,000 or 8,000 generally. And then you get a big game, you get over 10, 11, 12,000, especially the derbies against Argyle, who were down with us for a while. And it was an exciting time, really. Right up to the early 70s, of course. Alan Brown came in for when O'Farrell left for Leicester. And they cut a couple of decent seasons under Alan Brown, but we sold Robin to Bristol Rovers. He got John Rudge in, who was an excellent player. But I mean, John Rudge always said that they didn't accept me at Torquay because they were always thinking of Robin Stubbs. He's more or less said that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But I liked him a lot. But Alan Brown was a bit more attacking than Frank O'Farrell. He sort of, and I think the players that eventually came were not quite in the same standard. Tommy Mitchinson was a great player. I mean, he's one of my favourite players of all time, really. Midfielder.
Prime Minister of Plainmoor.
That's what they called him, yeah, that's right, the Prime Minister of Plainmoor, yeah. An excellent player, and Dick Edwards, of course.
Yeah. Dick Edwards, the country and western guy?
Yeah.
Did you ever see him?
No, I never did. I've got the record. I don't know if anybody got United, the record. It was Dick Edwards and the football and the team. Yeah. Don't ask me to sing it.
No, you're right, John. No.
And of course, he teamed up with Bruce Stuckey later, and they were sort of a country and western duo, weren't they?
Saw Bruce Stuckey play for Vauxhall United, but that's a different story. Dick Edwards, just quickly, Dick Edwards played one game for Manchester United. Frank O'Farrell took him there on trial when he played
I didn't know that.
Man United against Aberdeen.
I didn't know that.
Now, when I was a kid, our best Christmas present every year was the Rothmans Football Yearbook.
Yeah.
And you were a contributor to that for many years. How did that come about?
Yes. I don't know. I think it was a chap called Williams, and I'm not sure. He was the editor, and I can't remember his first name. And he said, we're doing from every club in the Football League, sort of what they thought of the season and everything. I did that for a few years, and then he started a new football. He left the Rothmans and started for a new football. It's a football yearbook or something. I can't remember. And so I contributed to that for a few years, and I think it's no longer. I think it carried on for a few years. It's a bit of a rival to Rothmans, really, but more. The Rothmans contained everything, international football,
Yeah.
and everything. Whereas this annual was mainly concentrated on the Football League.
Yeah. You did the PFA players profiles, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's quite neat. Yeah.
Moving on a little bit, obviously we lived through some fairly rough times in the 80s, the Dave Webb era. Did you stick with it at that point?
Yeah,
How do you feel about it?
I didn't look forward to coming up here very much, so there was a few quite funny. I think you remember "Blue Is the Colour," Chelsea, the Chelsea song, and some of our lot were singing "Blue Is the Colour, Losing Is Our Game,"
Yeah, he changed the strip and he brought back Saturday afternoon kickoffs there, because when I started it was all Saturday evening at that time. I know they played Friday evenings before.
Yeah.
You were saying about the floodlit games. What are your feelings about those?
Well, I think they were certainly in the late days of O'Farrell and Alan Brown playing on a Saturday night was really good. I think a lot of people really enjoyed it. Even the visiting fans, although they'd get back home late, but a lot of them would just stay over at the weekend. No, it was really good, and it was. I mean, we were sort of an original thing for Torquay. I mean, any other club was playing on a Saturday night. Yeah, it was very good. I think Webb was more worried about hooliganism and stuff, and it was, But I mean, a lot of people think that he was bad for the club, but if you spoke to the late Cedric Munslow, he reckoned Dave Webb saved the club. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but he reckons that financially he saved the club.
Few people said that.
Yeah. But it was bad. It was really bad, 2 re-election applications in a row.
Yeah.
But I think if it had been the third one, I think it would have gone. But they brought in the last one. They brought in automatic promotion, the champions of the National League. We've replaced the bottom club, and we all know what happened.
Same as Brent says. Yeah, it was later at Morgan, just about kept us up, didn't they? And then, of course,
have built a very good side, Stuart Morgan. And Cyril obviously added a few, brought in a few really good players to the squad that Stuart Morgan had put together. I was a bit sorry that Stuart left, but I suppose Cyril had done very well at Darlington. He got them up.
Stuart got a better offer from Weymouth.
In Weymouth, that's right. He went on to Weymouth. That's right, yeah. And we were fortunate to get Cyril.
Yeah, we were. Did you go to Wembley, Sherpa van?
Yeah, did.
Interesting day, that.
Yeah, it certainly was, yeah. Lorem corner, headed in by Edwards. We were 1 up. Hooray.
We were.
Let's go home now.
The school. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Bolt were a little bit too good on the day, really, weren't they?
Yeah, they were,
yeah. Sort of moving on through time. I mean, I've got a list of the sort of better managers we've had since then. We've got Neil Warnock, O'Riordan, Kevin Hodges did well for us for a while, and Leroy Buckle.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've spoken to Leroy, Neil Warnock this season, and I said the last time I spoke to you was at Carlisle, and you came over. Everybody had transistor radios. There's nothing else, and wanted to know how Gillingham had got on and how Halifax, I think, were the other team in for relegation. And that was the last time, and we were able to tell him that I think Halifax had got beat. So we were safe, and he was sort of, jumping around with us.
It's a great day.
At Carlisle, yeah.
Great day. We just got back to boots and laces for last orders that day.
Yeah, fantastic. Right. There were no boots and laces, of course, then. Are you thinking the second one?
The one where Dwayne Darby scored.
Yeah.
If
Off
I
his bottom, I think.
Yeah, or nipple perhaps.
Yeah. I
yeah.
don't think it was boots. I don't think boots and laces were. It was just the old social club then, wasn't it?
In the season they rebuilt, that was the season the away and the Elegant end opened.
Yeah.
92, 93 was done. Prince Swindon at the start of the season. It was the first season of the family staff. So it may have opened.
We'll have to check that.
Yeah,
that's what my memory might have been let me down. Yours is fantastic. I have to say.
I was thinking of the second trip to Carlisle again. You know the
Atkins season.
yeah.
Oh, 2006. Yeah.
And,
I'm going to put you on the spot now.
oh dear.
Who's your favourite Torquay player of all time?
Well, I think I'm of an era where there are terrific players like Sammy Collins, Ronnie Shaw, Dennis Lewis, but I'll go for Mills. Actually, the midfield players really is, Mills first, Mitchinson second, Alex Russell third. That's for me. But
Tell us about Don Mills.
well, I think he would never have been playing us. He had a health problem, didn't he? I think there was some sort of health problem.
That's why it came to Torquay.
Yeah.
I think he was a miner during the war.
Yeah.
As a protected occupation. He went down the mines when he was very young.
Yeah.
And that gave him
Chest, yeah.
breathing.
Yeah. But, I mean, he was some player where he had a heck of a shot on him, really. You think of Bondy, and even Mr. Warnock, he had quite a shot on him, didn't he, when he played for Argyle. But, John Bond, Bruce Rioch, another with a great shot, but Mills could hit him. Yeah. But he had everything, really, he could tackle. He could be a bit nasty at times, occasionally, but he was a terrific player. With players like Sammy Collins, Shaw, the two local lads, Bond and Pym, Ernie Pym, John Graham Bond, and Lewis was the sort of a holding midfielder, really, wing half they called him in those days. Mills was what you call a number 10 now, really, but played as an inside, call it inside forward. When I think number 10 now is like a player who plays off the main striker, isn't it, really?
Smart play.
As far as I know, this number 10 is all rubbish to me. I mean, inside left when I first started watching. But
in those days, normally it was a 2-3-5, wasn't it?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think one of the inside forwards would drop a bit deeper.
That's right.
The Mills right.
Yeah.
And
Sammy Collins, right, technically inside right, but he was basically playing off Ted Calland or Harold Dobby or whoever was centre forward at the time.
So Collins would effectively, the front four would be the five less Mills and would drop into.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And the fullbacks didn't go past the halfway line. I mean, those players were the most limited of all the players. I don't think you could ever stick them in a fullback position nowadays.
They just got it to the winger.
Yeah.
What the winger did.
Yeah.
I mean, so many differences really between the game as it was. If I put you on the spot, did you prefer it in the old days, John?
I don't want to be old-fashioned. I think. I mean, it was very open. The game in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of big scores. Teams seemed to do very well at home and not so good away. I know it still is that, but not quite as much as it now, I don't think. I mean, the season we nearly went out 56, 57. Home record, won 19, drawn 4, lost none. The only time ever, I think, we were unbeaten at home. Unless you go back to your pre-league days, I don't know. And away, it was shocking, really. I mean, at home, that season, we beat Swindon 7-0, Millwall 7-2, Norwich 7-1, and we were making, teams like Palace, and we were skinning them alive at home. But away we had some, I think we lost 6-0 at Brighton, we lost 6-0 at Ipswich, and we lost 7-2 at Millwall, having beaten them 7-2 down here.
Goal average, goals against.
That's right. It wouldn't have made any difference. If it had been goal difference, they still wouldn't have made it to Ipswich. And of course, we won the cup, didn't we? We won the World Cup for England. Because if we'd gone up that year, what would have happened to Alf Ramsey?
Eric Webber would have been England manager.
It's possible.
It's amazing to think of now in Torquay, a couple of goals away from what is now the Championship.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're operating at a much lower level these days, aren't we? National League South. What are your thoughts? Do you see the club getting back into the Football League?
Well, I think with this lot, we've got a good chance, and with the people that are running the club now, because they're proper fans, unlike our previous owners. Yeah, I think we got a fair chance. But when you look at the National League itself now, it's definitely Football League 3, isn't it? You know, you look at the clubs there. I mean, there's a few, shall we say, stragglers like Wheelstone and people like that. You don't see them getting up, but there's so many clubs there now. It's gonna be a job, I think. I think if we can get out of this league, that'll help me. I did say to the directors, "Can you get us in the Football League before I pop the clubs?" And they said, "Well, we'll do our best." But the National League for now would suit me. But of course, it's the money, isn't it? You get in the Football League, you get all this money running down. There's nothing, is there, for us really? Running youth teams, it's all, you know, you got a decent player, somebody can come in now and just say, I've got him. Give you nothing. But we got there by hook, you know, it's our fault we got in this league. Not the fans' fault, but it's the club over the years' fault that we got into this, and we got a damn well try and get out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was 10 when Uncle Charlie took me to Plainwell either.
Was that it then? Were you hooked like quite quickly?
Yeah, generally. And I think I saw another floodlight friendly, I think against Middlesbrough, and I think Peter Taylor was in goal for Middlesbrough, the Toughies. And I think that was a draw. And I hadn't seen a league game by then, but we were playing Coventry, I think, either late November or early December. And that was my first league game. It was a 0-0 draw, and Coventry had the England goalkeeper in goal for them. It's not unusual in those days for a team in the third south to have an England player, and his goalkeeper called Reg Matthews. And he went on to sign for Chelsea later, I think.
Weren't many 0-0 draws under Eric Webber.
No. I think the next game was Ipswich. I think it was 2-2. That's it. I think I've got a feeling the first win was against City, Exeter. I think. I think it was.
They kept you waiting all end.
Yeah. And
what about away days, John? When did you start going on the road?
I just went a few times. I went a couple of times to Plymouth on the train with Uncle Charlie, and I think the season we nearly went up, we drew 0-0 down there. Big crowd. Yeah, about 17,000, 18,000, something like that, I think. That's, yeah. And I saw a few games at Exeter. I wasn't a regular away. It was only until the O'Farrell era that I started going away. Because I worked with a guy who lived next door to Dougie Clark, another of O'Farrell's wingers, who was a really nice chap. He passed away not so long ago, and he used to give us free tickets for away games, players. And saw quite a few in the season. We actually went up 65, 66.
You got Middlesbrough that year?
Yeah, that was the year we nearly went up to the second division, but we clinched. We didn't know we'd done it. We drew 0-0 at Darlington.
Yeah,
but who were already promoted, or I think the draw promoted Darlington. And but we had to wait. There was a lot of games in hand for clubs like Newport and Luton, I think, had to play. and we had to wait and see how they got on. And so we eventually knew we were up. Finished third in the end, I think. Yeah. But I think it was 2 years later we played away at Middlesbrough. I went to Middlesbrough.
Well, I think it was the season after.
Yeah.
Because 2 seasons we nearly got promoted to the second division. 67 and 68.
Yeah.
It was the first of those, I think.
No, I think it was, 67, 68, we, it was the year we blew a big lead at the top. And I think Bury went up with Oxford, I think.
That's the famous match of the day one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
68. Beat Bury on match of the day.
Yeah, 3-0, yeah. Pouring with rain, yeah. But the Middlesbrough was the season after, I think.
I'm just checking the good book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the season in between. So we promoted in 66.
Yeah.
67 was the season QPR won the league by a long way. And it was wide open for second place. And we played Middlesbrough second last game of the season, still with a chance of promotion. And they beat us 4-0.
That's right.
And they sneaked into second place.
Yeah.
67.
Well, we were on one of these overnight coaches, leave at midnight to get there early in the morning. And we got there and we went to we have a look at Ayresome Park, and that. And England had a coach,
Harold Stevens.
Howard Shepard said it. But he had a number 2 as well. And he was the trainer, or as he called it in those days, at Middlesbrough, and he took us around their gymnasium and everything, all the whole lot from the coach, that was the best part of the day, really.
Remember what roads were like? Youngsters of today will think, sure, I just shot up the motorway.
Yeah.
To change buses in Leeds, do you have to get on Wallace Arnold from there or something?
I remember that. Because they were linked up with Torquay, weren't they? Yeah.
I've got a mate who was on the trip, and the way he tells it, obviously there was a lot of time before the game, and people ended up running through Woolworths nicking stuff. I'm sure that's not true.
I know the year we went to Darlington, the 65, 66. We took a couple of the youngsters went in and started drinking Newcastle Brown, fell asleep in the park, and never saw the game.
Oh, you live and learn, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember a game against Newport? Which was
But the 8-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
But I think when we just played tricks, but I've got a feeling the score was 2-1 to Torquay with about 20 minutes to go.
I think you're right.
And it finished 8-3 and Robin got 5.
Bit greedy.
Yeah, he was, yeah. And of course the other one, the one, something that I don't think ever be beaten, was the cup game against Northampton in the season we went up. We beat them 7-1, and all the goals were scored by people who were born within a half a mile of Deal Village. Ernie Pym hat-trick, Graham Bond hat-trick, Tommy Northcott.
Yeah.
That was...
Yeah, all local boys.
Yeah.
Strong reserve team, really.
Yeah. You should get 1,000, 1,500 reserved innings. Very, very, very strong. The Western League, yeah.
He talked to Paul Bastard. His first memory coming to a game was a reserve game the night that we played Ipswich.
We played Palace.
We played Palace to...
Yeah, and they were going to give us a run-in.
Yeah.
Of the year there. Yeah. Played Weymouth, I think.
Yes.
There's about 3,000 there.
Yeah.
And never heard a thing. Oh, apparently we were drawing at half-time, I think. That came out. Didn't know until the next morning.
Somebody had to telephone through the update to the club secretary and to run around get it announced to speak.
But, one at Palace, it didn't matter what happened to Ipswich, but we drew 1-1 and think, well, the Palace left back was Jack Edwards, I think.
That's right.
And it's just...
I think Ipswich beat a weakened Southampton.
Yeah, I think it's I'm not quite sure it's completely true that, but they won 2-0 at Southampton. There was all thing that Ramsey had played for Southampton, but Eric Webber had played for Southampton, so they're not going to say, I'll give you a favour or don't like him.
I mean, you hinted at it earlier on that Ipswich obviously went on not many years after that. They were actually champions, weren't they? They won the league.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though Torquay would have had any chance in the second division?
They were getting old, the players, Sammy and Don Mills and players like, but they might have given it a shot, the first year, I don't think Ipswich did that great the very first year. Then he went up. Who knows? But of course, the next season, they're starting the formation of the third and fourth division. We finished in the bottom half of the third south, and into the fourth division we went.
That's a real shock to the system, wasn't it? Because effectively, Division 3 South was the third division, wasn't it? They had quite big incomes, was it?
Yeah.
Gains.
Yeah.
So it felt like a relegation, I suppose, being in the bottom half.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think it took us 2 seasons to get up, didn't it? I think it was 59-60 we went up. Yeah. I remember the night we clinched it. It was home to Gillingham, I think. 2-0, quite a big crowd there. Right. 8,500, something like that. That was about it, really. Unless you were playing the local team.
Not so many away fans in those days, really.
You didn't see, well, I presume that some did come, but you never, there was none of the old chanting in the 50s and 60s. It was just cheering, really. That was it. Sort of, yeah. Yeah, different days.
It must have been a contrast, because I think of like old-fashioned football and modern football, and I think with us swapping Eric Webber for Franco Farrell, it's like a hard line.
It started it all, really, wasn't it? Yeah.
1 to 11 were what they said on the tin in Webber's day, weren't they?
Yes, that's right.
With Franco Farrell, you didn't know whether number 11 was a sweeper or...
And you didn't keep your own number anyway during the season. You could be with number 2 and number 9. I think Bondi had a number 9 on his back a few times.
Yeah.
Laid him up front. John Bond.
No substitutes until quite late.
5.
I just remember who our first substitute was. It was Jeff Cox.
I think it was Jeff Cox. He was 65.
Yeah.
65, 66.
And it was really only for injury.
Yeah, for a couple of years. Yeah, could only substitute.
It was
but then people started pretending to be injured so they could be substituted. So they just gave up on the protects a bit. There's only more Fred.
Yeah.
Best goalkeeper, Torquay.
Well, I think Neville sort of in recent years raised the standards, but we've had some good ones. Mike Mahoney.
Yeah.
He had a poorish start. He's a terrific keeper at the time when he was very young from Bristol City. Yeah. Some of the good keepers that I really like were quite short. Andy Donnelly. He's about 5'9", about that. Kevin Dearden. Not that tall. Could use a ball, though. The best passer of a ball for a goalkeeper that I've seen for a long while.
Leroy was talking about him on the National Obsession. He said, a lot of stuff started with Kevin Dearden.
Yeah. Oh, he could find Kevin Hill every time, virtually. Yeah.
That's great too. That'd right.
Yeah. Pete Wakeham, of course, was keeper when I first going. I think the first goalkeeper was a Scottish goalkeeper called Jimmy Kirk. He only had the 1 season with us. He was decent. And we had Bill Hayes, who was another very short goalkeeper.
Alan did tonight.
He was there. Yeah. And then Pete Wakeham took over, and he stayed here until Sunderland paid some money for it.
The local boy, isn't he?
Yeah, from Kingsbridge, yeah.
Comes to the old A team.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, lad from Kingsbridge. Yeah.
A lot of players came through that A team, didn't they? The one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah, I think Johnny Evans was a really good footballer, but a lot of people compared him to Don Mills, but he didn't have the physique of Don Mills. He didn't have the get up and go. But he could play, definitely, but he wasn't Frank Farrell's type of player.
I think.
No way.
Yeah, he's very much Eric Webber.
Yeah.
And I think Robin says he really enjoyed playing under Webber. Yes, much up.
No. But
It's just allowed to do it.
he's always praised Tommy Northcott, hasn't he, Robin?
Oh, yeah.
He took a lot of the way. He won all the balls, and chest him down.
And you're a striker, you've got somebody like Northcott
Yeah.
taking the bounding and you
Yeah.
nip in and pick up the pieces afterwards.
Yeah.
But
Well, Barack, will any further questions with Robbie?
Could we? I've more or less got to the end of my list, more or less, John.
Yeah.
It's been brilliant.
So
where did you live when you were around there?
first one, Brixham.
So how did you get?
Brixham boy. First, we haven't mentioned Mark Lorem, have we?
Oh, yeah. What a player.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Where were you brought up, John?
Fursum. I went to Fursum Primary School and then on to Churston Grammar. Yeah, and then when I got married, moved to Torquay because I think Pat, my wife, knew that this is my spiritual home. Yes. So that was it.
How did you get to matches when you were younger then from Brixham?
Bus.
On the bus?
The old special bus. There was always a special from Brixham. Yeah. I still see one of those guys that I used to get on the bus with, a chap called Barry Orchard, who was a very good cricketer. You remember cricket, Brixham, good cricketer. My son, Captain Payton, I think, in recent years. But Barry was one that I used to go on the special bus from Brixham with.
Yeah, like bus full?
Generally, yeah, usual crowd, yeah.
Great
But-
stuff.
Went a few of the way hay ones, and some of the moaners just bus didn't.
You always get the other ones.
Can you remember the fare? What did you have to pay?
It wasn't much. It was, so perhaps a shilling or something like that, 5 cents or something, is it? But to get in here, they upped the price for the Spurs game, the cup tie, to 6 bob, and they're, that's 6 shillings.
What would
I think
it
it's-
normally?
It's about 2 or 3 bob or something like that.
Double that price?
Yeah.
What do you remember about the Spurs game?
I remember, I think we went 1-up through Bill Atkinson penalty, because Robin had missed one the week before in the league match. And this was Bill Atkinson's first penalty. But he belted that past Bill Brown, who was a Spurs keeper. And I think it was 1-1 at half time. I think Gilsey equalised. And they went 3-1 up, and we know Robin scored 2 of the scruffiest goals that ever scored, I think you were told. They were really scruffy goals. But I think the match had gone on another few minutes, I think. They were so shocked.
What was that? That was an afternoon game, wasn't it?
Cyril was playing for Spurs.
Yeah.
I think he scored, but it was disallowed. I've got a feeling he scored with his left foot, who was pretty good with his left foot, Cyril.
What part of the ground you? Okay.
Yeah, pot side.
One pot.
Yeah.
Must have been absolutely.
I went up.
round.
I went up twice. I went up for the first game that was rained off the following Wednesday.
Yeah.
And
Do you get all the way there?
all the way there, yeah.
No mobile.
mate,
No stuff.
mate drove up in the car. My mate I worked with, and he said, "Oh, we'll go again." So it was the following Monday. I think we'd played away on the Saturday. Won at Stockport, I think, and went up there. And Greaves scored a hat-trick and missed a penalty, Jimmy Greaves, in that game. And Robert scored one of the best goals he's ever scored. Maurice Norman was England's centre-half at the time, and he left him for dead and belted one in the top corner. that made it 1-1. But Jimmy got cracking after that, But it was virtually the team that won the double, a few years earlier, plus Jimmy Greaves and a couple of others. Gilzine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Gills then just signed with them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And Mullery had just signed, I think, the start of that season. He was in that side. Yeah, I think the only one of the double that was missing, he was injured, was Dave Mackay.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you see the other game against Spurs a few years later?
I've seen every game against Spurs, home and away. Yeah. Saw Bruce Stuckey score first against Spurs up here. You probably saw that. Yeah.
Before my time. Was that League Cup?
Yeah. It was a season we went down 71-7. So
We were 1-0 up.
yeah. 4-1, I think Martin Chivers was passed away recently. And
Derek Dawkins?
yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been pity it was then, wouldn't it? Yeah. They'd have been out, wouldn't they?
Yeah. 2 legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went up for in fact, I came down, I was at university, I travelled down for that, and I thought we played really well.
Yeah.
Ray Clements made a great save, didn't he? But
They had a game up there.
they had too much in the end. Nico Klassen, I think, scored.
That's right.
3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, good day out there.
Yeah. Was our dealers playing in that game, or was it the
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
He looked the best player on the pitch, even though we won that game 1-0. And then I went the one under
Roman
Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a Thursday night because of the telly.
That's right. Yeah. We'd I think we'd beaten Bournemouth when they were playing at Dorchester. That's right. When they were switching the ground around, weren't they? Because they changed it around. Where the goal was is a pub side now, isn't it? And I think we played well that night. I've always said to Kenny Allen, do you remember? He took a drop kick out, and the wind was blowing a hooligan down this pitch, and it was going in, and Clemens had to tip it over the bar. Kenny's lived off that a few times.
That's the highlights of that were on Sports Night, I
think so.
think they're up on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's the catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good game.